Hello and welcome back everyone to the next episode on SAP Analytics Cloud Training with me Anubhav. In our last class we talked about the concept of planning. We have seen the ways to achieve what if scenarios. We have also discussed about distribution and spreading. Along with that we've seen how to apply update scenarios in analytics cloud planning. Furthermore, we went ahead and created forecast report in SAP Analytics Cloud using the old layout as well as new layout. We saw the use of currency conversion using cross calculation in SAC. Also, we discussed how to add the restricted dimensions and measures for the account into our report. In today's session, we are going to look at some advanced planning scenarios. So the first planning scenario for today's session, we will start about the concept of calculations and formulas. Hi Anubhav, yesterday class about the table data refresh while performing the builder level changes. I think switching off optimization story performance will change. Yes. So basically there was this issue what we were facing when it comes to using the analytics cloud. There is a performance optimization setting which we have switched on. Since we have switched on, because of that what is happening, um, we always have to click the table in order to, for calculations to get refreshed. If we switch off that setting, then system will allow us to also do the live changes or see experience the live changes directly in the story. Yes, so that is something which is optimization setting. Yes, you are right, but the thing is, at the moment we want to make sure that we also have the optimized settings. So maybe in today's session when we build stories, we'll not switch on that setting for optimization. Yes. Okay, so let's move on now, and what we are going to see today is a next scenario. So let me show you the scenario document for today's session. So I will go back to SSC batch, advanced planning, and advanced planning scenario. So let's come back to this spec document and try to understand what we will do. Stephanie's company is planning for expansion of business on different other areas and regions. A company's potential for the growth is dependent on its ability to keep its gross margin higher and higher, and also along with the operating profit percentage. However, it is also always important keep and watch on operating expense ratio of the company. These are some of the key drivers for the growth, also considered as important KPIs for the operations. In this document, Stephanie has to see how to work with SSE planning capabilities to calculate these KPIs, apply the formulas at the model level, create allocation rules for same dimensions and using formulas, allocate marketing expenses based on FTE, basically learn allocation feature of SSE, allocate operating expense based on different product levels, last year sales. We will also add the features related to the formula lookups, conditional logic and formatting, along with sales volume. We will also learn the advanced features of Analytics Cloud, where we will learn how to fetch the data for dynamic time filter and do a YTD year to date calculation in our scenario. She will also create value driver tree and data actions in the planning. Thus, we will conclude all the key planning features in SSC, covering almost all the features as part of our use case. So the first uh, requirement for today is we want to create a report with the current financials of the company and also display the hidden KPIs. These KPI values are currently not calculated. Then we will have gross margin, gross profit and expense ratio. We will learn how can we add Excel like formulas directly for the growth margin percentage. Below are the formulas to calculate these KPI values, which is gross margin, operating profit and operating expense ratio. If you remember, I taught you the planning jargons before in our previous episodes. Let me show you that slide. Exactly the same thing I taught you at that point of time. So I hope there is no need to repeat this topic. You can see I've already taught you these things. Yes. So we just have these formulas. For convenience, I've written the formulas in the document as well for you so that you can just go through these formulas and implement the same in SSE. So let's get started. We will create now a quick report and also add these formulas, and we will learn how to add these formulas, all the three different techniques. So I'm going to switch over back to SSE, create a new advanced planning story. So let's go to Canvas, and I'll just create a table, select our data model, and now we will add first formulas. So what I will do now is, in this formula section, we will first expand all the important entities. So let's do the drill down to level 3, and you can see we have the operating income, gross profit, and operating expense. So now we would want to calculate the gross margin, operating expense ratio, and gross profit. Yes. So these are all the percentages which we need to calculate. So first of all, let's go to account dimension. I uncheck everything and just keep operating income and KPI check, key performance indicator, KPI. These two I check and I say okay. So you will see here we have got operating income, but I don't see the KPIs. As you all know, in the last class I taught you that we have the option to display the unbooked data, which means right now the KPI calculations have not been carried out. That's why they're not visible. There are no values into it. So we can go to more options and say show unbooked data. Click, and now you see here we have got the KPI values, but they are not yet calculated. So we can directly go and calculate any of our KPIs directly in SSE. So what you need to do is you need to go to more options, and you will have an option called formula bar. Just click on that. It opens a small formula bar, and you can directly go ahead and add an Excel like formulas right over here in these cells. So what is the gross margin? Gross profit divided by net revenue. So I say click equal to, what is my gross profit? Gross profit is this, divide by net revenue is this, and press enter. So the moment you do this, formula data entry on data cell is not allowed, something it is telling. Let me just try again. Gross profit divided by net revenue. Yes, press enter. Formula entry on data cell is not allowed. Okay, so you can see for this data cell the default formula or by default formula entry is not allowed. So we need to switch over back to the model and enable the same. So let me go back to the model, come here to the data model. We go to the planning data, and we go to the account dimension. And if you come to the account dimension over here, we should see exactly the same KPIs: growth rate, gross margin, and operating margin, gross margin, and operating expense ratio, these KPIs. So now we go on the right side. So there is no setting to allow the data entry. So let me just check. So here you see all the KPIs. So I click, and you see here replace ID in formula input. I'm not sure if this will allow or not allow, but there is certainly a setting. Recently they have changed the experience actually. Earlier it used to directly allow the formula. Yes. So there are many things which they keep on changing. So I just check this and I'll save the model. I also go to the settings of the model and see here validation rule, data locking, restricted export, inside data model privacy. If enable for a dimension, every member user who have access to the data can be specified in dimension view. Second is setting on the dimension. Let me switch on. Let me just see date setting planning based on data locking, currency pricing. I'm not sure. Let's give it a try now. I click on OK, save it, and I'll come back and try to see if I can apply the formula directly over here. So sometimes what happens, SAP keeps changing Analytics Cloud and its rules. So now I try to give this value over here for the cell. Let me see if there is any cell cell rule also equals to gross profit divided by net revenue. No. So you see it's not allowing. I'm not sure why it is not allowing. Okay, I got it, guys. It will not allow. Actually, this is a value which is coming from account dimension. So system will not allow us to change the values directly over here. What we can do is we can just click on this plus button over here and we can add a completely new dimension. Click on plus and we can come down and we can say gross margin. And here we can allow new formula. So I click on OK, equal to gross profit divide by net revenue. Press enter and yes, you can see it has calculated, but this value is always calculated in percentage, so not in the millions. So I have to go back to the styling panel and just come down and we have an option to show percentage, you see. So it is 50.42%. This is the calculation which we can do on the fly. Yes, on the fly you can calculate these values directly with a formula in Analytics Cloud. This is the feature which I wanted to demonstrate. Now the next thing which we want to see over here is we want to now go back and not put every time formula like Excel sheet over here, because think about it, if you have multiple account dimensions which needs to be calculated by formula, and if you build 10 different reports, yes, 10 different reports for the same, what will happen? 10 reports if you create, in all 10 reports you have to go and write the formula. So the recommended practice by SSC is to put the formulas directly into the model. So we can go ahead and put the formula, this kind of formula, directly into the model, and we can also give the scaling into the model itself. So right now here I've come and put the number format manually for each field which I will calculate, but this thing can be kept in the model itself. It will make it fully reusable. So let's go back to the model, and over here in the model we can directly write a formula over here. Yes, so you can come to the calculation and select your KPI, and now you can start gross profit divided by net revenue. So I say gross, GROSS, and you see I've got gross profit divided by net revenue. Perfect. Perfect, guys. So just select yes. So this way you can directly go ahead and write the formula over here and as save. Yes, so I can now save. Model you're trying to save a validation error. For details use validation information. Okay, let's expand. It has validation error. Let me switch over back to model structure, go to account dimension, come down. So when we are adding this, we have validation error. So you see this is the bug in SSE. You see it has put gross profit divided by net revenue. But look at this. For net revenue, it has put H1111, and for gross profit, it has put the text. So this is again another bug we just found in SSE. When we try to edit the formula using the other option, it is having this problem. Okay, so you can come back here itself and just try again gross profit. divide by net revenue. Done. Let's do a check. Click on OK. And we will also get rid of this aggregation type to none. We don't need to aggregate because we're giving formula. Next, operating profit. So operating income divided by net revenue. Go to FX. Click on OK. Next, operating expense ratio. Operating expense divided by net revenue. Done. I click on save. And now you can see all of them are created. There is a space problem. There is a beginning space I have added by mistake. Yes, I save it. So now we have added the direct formulas into Analytics Cloud model. Let's go back to the story. You see, if before these values were not coming, and now based on the formulas, this value will be calculated and displayed also to the user in the report. You can see, and you can also make out the manual calculation which we did is exact the same value which the formula has calculated from the model. So the technique which you should choose to put formula should be the one which is kept in the model, because then you can have these changes displayed in all the stories across the board in entire SSC. Yes. So this is what is a recommended practice for adding formula in planning. So let's click on save. First, let's save our story now. And I can just go back to our content, stories, and I can say advanced planning. Okay, done. Moving next. So we would want to now calculate allocation. So what is allocation? Let's try to understand what is allocation. So can anyone tell me what is the difference between allocation versus distribution? Anyone in the room who would like to tell difference between allocation versus distribution in your opinion? Simple English, what do you think? Anyone? Allocation versus distribution, simple English, forget about Analytics Cloud. In simple English, if you can give me some example of allocation versus distribution, plain English. Anyone wants to try? There is nothing wrong in trying. Allocation is budgeted data, distribution is actual data. No, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay, let me give an example of childhood days. So, guys, you remember when we used to go to school on national holidays? There was a celebration for national holiday like Independence Day or Republic Day. Yes, we do have celebrations in school. So when you come out after the celebration, what the school will do? The school will distribute sweet box, right? So in this case, what was the criteria for school to distribute the sweet box to you? Do they see which dress are you wearing? Do they see which class do you belong? Anyone? Do you think the school will check which dress are you wearing and which session, which class do you belongs to? Of course not. Yes. So in this case, what you see here, a school will distribute the sweet box without any condition. So this is called distribute. Do you understand English meaning of distribute? Distribution, which means distribution is a change of data without any condition. Yes, you are basically distributing the data without any condition. Now, When we go to annual day of school, which students will get award? Which students will get award? Will they get award? Will every student of the school will get an award? What do you think? Will every student of the school will get an award? Of course not. Yes. So in this case, guys, in this case, student who actually perform well in the academics will get the award. So the awards are allocated who come first to third rank. Now, guys, can anyone tell me how allocation is different from distribution? Anyone? With example I've given, what do you think what allocation is? Why I say allocated? Why I say allocated? Yes. Allocation is a distribution, but based on condition. Is this clear, everyone? What is the difference between allocation and distribution? They both are same, but distribution is no condition. You just distribute unconditionally, but allocation happens only when the condition applies. Are you clear with the example, a real life example of school days? Yes or no? You can answer in chat window if you're clear with the difference between allocation and distribution. Before I start my scenario in Analytics Cloud, any question on allocation versus distribution? Clear? Okay. So now let's go ahead and see our business scenario. What's our business scenario? So remember, allocation is equal to distribution, but it's based on condition. So company have recently planned for expansion in the other regions of USA. We have hired colleagues and now they start product marketing. So company has four different regions, guys, for the business. As I taught you the other day, we have four different regions: Northeast, Southeast, then we have Middle West and Pacific. These are the four regions in US market the company have. So we have recently had a meeting with the heads of each region. We want to allocate budget for marketing expense for these number of hires in each region. This type of requirement is in allocation basically. So let me explain the scenario. So company have four different regions in US market: Northeast, Southwest, Pacific, and Midwest. Yes, Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, and Pacific. So each of the region have employees. Let's say in this Northeast region we have 1000 employees. In the Southeast region we have 1500 employees, and in Midwest we have 2 3000 employees, and let's say in the Pacific we just have 200 employees. So I have X amount of fund with me. So let's say I have total $100 million of fund for marketing expense. What do you think? This 100 million, can I randomly distribute? Can I give 25, 25, 25, 25 to all four? Will that be a justice to all the regions of my company? If I blindly distribute $25 million to each? Of course not. It won't be a justice. So what should be the right justice? The justice will be based on number of employees you have in each of the region. You will do allocation. You will not do blind distribution. So you will give, let's say, X amount here, and then you will give, let's say, another one. Yes, another one you will give Y amount, which is bigger because it has 1500. But the employees which are a number of 3000 we give even bigger. and the ones which are having very less we give smaller. So you can see that the size of the oval is different. Why? Because we are allocating, we are not distributing. If we would distribute, then we'll just give 25 million to each, but that's not fair because each of the region have different number of employees. Since they have different number of employees, the eventual goal or the idea here in this case is we would want to make sure that we allocate, we blindly don't want to distribute. So now I'm going to go back and show you how can we achieve this. So first let's see, based on this is by the way called FTE. What is called FTE? FTE stands for full-time employee. So depending on how many full-time employees we have in each of the region, we are going to do the allocation. So let's first see for the US market our number of FTEs which are there, and what is the marketing expenses allocated at the moment. So first we will just build the report and see what is the as of now state. So I'm going to come back and I will create another canvas, and maybe I'll rename to say simple allocation, and I will create a table, and we'll just go back and we will choose in the account dimension marketing expense. So what's a marketing expense? And then I will choose how many full-time employees are there. So I come here and choose full-time employee, yes, FTE. Click OK. And what I will do now is I will just do this expansion of data based on entity. So let's come and choose entity. And we are only interested in entity which is US. So let's go to filter and choose all the regions of US. And let's do the expansion. So you can see currently all the money is with $172 million is kept in the Northeast region. Yes. Now, at the moment, there is no money for marketing expense allocated for other regions. We want a distribution depending on the condition. So our condition is how many number of full-time employees are there in each region. Go ahead and distribute this marketing expense across the four regions depending on the FTEs. So what are you depending on? You're depending on FTE. In this case, the FTE is called allocation driver. Allocation driver. So this is an interview question. What is allocation driver? So the account dimension which makes the condition to carry out the allocation is called the allocation driver. So based on what condition we are planning to allocate budget, marketing expense budget, it is the FTE. So in this example, what is your allocation driver? Yes, number of FTE is our allocation driver. Everybody, are you clear? What is allocation driver? Yes or no? So it's a condition which is used to carry out the allocation is called allocation driver. In this example which I took, it's the FTE is the allocation driver. Based on number of full-time employees, we are going to allocate the marketing expense. So right now I don't see the budget for other regions, which is okay. We can just first see show unbooked data, and now you will see a blank values. There is no money allocated for marketing expense for these people. No problem. We will now first create our allocation rule, because that's my condition and rule which I have to create. So let's go back and talk about how we develop allocation in Analytics Cloud. So allocation is basically an important function in planning, where you first start with defining an allocation. Inside one allocation you will have multiple allocation rules, and inside one rule we can have multiple inside one rule we have multiple steps. So this is how allocation is modularized by SAP. So one good thing you will see in all SAP products, they modularize everything, so you can do reusability. So let's create an allocation. Yes, so I'm going to switch over back, and I will go to more, and you see here allocation option. I click on that, and now I'll create a new allocation process. Let's call it as alloc marketing expense. Yes. So allocate marketing expense US based on full-time employees. Make sense? We will first select our rule, our model. So allocations are created at model level. So I go inside the model, planning model, and I will select our planning model. So it can fetch all the dimensions and measures I can create now. So I'm first creating an allocation, and now you see it has got a step. So one allocation can have multiple steps, and each step can have multiple rules. Yes. So let's create an allocation step. You can also reference a step from another allocation. That is the beauty, that's the reusability. But we will just create a new step. Let's call it as alloc marketing expense USA. Allocate marketing expenses in USA. I will choose the dimension as entity and target also entity, because you see how the data is flowing. The data is flowing between one of the entity, which is northeast of US, to other entities it has to go. Yes, so this is why my source is also entity for flowing the data, and my target is also entity. And what is my driver? Allocation driver. Yes, so this is my allocation driver. This is my driver. This is my condition. In simple words, this is your condition. And what is your dimension which you are going to use to do the allocation is this. So from northeast, the data will flow from another. So this is the entity. So from one entity, the money will go to other entities, and this will be the allocation which we will have to do. But this allocation is based on the condition, based on the number of FTEs. So you can see more number of FTEs are there here for this Midwest. So when the allocation is carried out, you see this has highest number of employee. So here the value will be highest, rank number one. Then the second rank will be this. Then the third rank will be this, and the fourth rank will be this. So this will be the order in which you will see the analytics cloud is smartly automatically allocate your marketing budget. So let's go back again. So entity to entity options, and I will choose here my reference dimension is you can put any breakdown of on dimension, and you can do also a booking account. So you can just say my breakdown based on a dimension, I can do it. So what is breakdown? Breakdown is basically, let's say you are working on hierarchies. Yes, so if you're doing allocation between hierarchies, then you can do the breakdown. Let's say I have two group of plants, and I'm allocating from one group of plant to another group of plant, but these group of plant will have storage locations as a hierarchy. So in that case we can use breakdown by dimension. So you can just also read about it in the documentation. But now we will go to filter account, and we are only interested to do this particular spreading or this allocation only and only for marketing expense. So let's come here. So do not forget to add this. Yes, option filter by account, entity to entity, and let's create. So we just provide the header data for this allocation, and now we can define the allocation rules. So here is where we will create now the allocation rules. So let's create the first rule. So you can see we are now creating allocation rule here. So I'm saying that all the money is lying into the northeast region. So I choose northeast as my source of all the money, and then I will distribute it across all the four regions: northeast, southeast, Pacific, and Midwest. Now, what is my allocation driver? कौन बताएगा? Who will tell me? What's my allocation driver? Who will tell me? In this example, this practical example, what's my allocation driver? Anyone? Just now we discussed everything. What do you think? What's your allocation driver in this case? Anyone? Yes, it's FTE. Come down and you choose FTE, allocation driver FTE. Yes, that's my rule. So based on FT, number of people in each of the region, take all the money from Northeast and distribute it based on FT. So it's a distribution with condition, which means it's allocation. So allocate it to all the regions of US. Click on create. I click on save. I'm done. Let's go ahead and now test our allocation in the system. So I'm going to go back and I will just come to my report, and you will see here we have our report here, and in this we can go to more, allocate, and I say execute allocation process. Yes, so how many allocation process exist at the moment for this model? Only one, which we just created. You see it picks up by default, and now I can say on which version you want to carry out this. So I say actual, but please create a new private version. So I can say alloc marketing expense, or let me first manually create a version to just copy actual version, and I can see it because I don't want to contaminate my actual data. Allocate marketing expense, and I will say copy all data from actuals. So it has got this marketing expense. So this is my as if state, and I'm saying I have a private version where I will carry out allocation to show you what will it look like after the allocation, so that business can also compare and approve my allocation. So this is how a planner ideally should do. They should never contaminate original data, rather should create a copy version and then perform all their planning activities on a copied version, as we discussed also in the last class. I execute now, and I will choose this allocation on the version which I just created, the private version, and I say execute, and I say continue, and you will see now everything will take over based on the number of FTEs. So higher the number of FTE, higher the allocation will carry out. There you go. So you can see total amount, which was $172 million, got allocated. So it's not distributed, it's allocated. So which region should have highest number of marketing expense? The one which is this, having highest FTEs, Midwest. You can clearly see it's 49 million. It's 47, 37, 36, and 49. So this has got highest. Why it has got highest? Can anyone tell me? Why Midwest region has got highest value of marketing expense allocated to this region? Yes, because it has the highest number of employees, highest number of FTEs, because that was my driver. This is my driver, this is my condition which is controlling it. The second highest is 4147. You see here 47 million were allocated. The lowest is this one, 3179 FTEs in Pacific, and you see Pacific allocated the lowest value. So this is a distribution based on condition. Is the basic allocation clear to everyone? Is the basic allocation clear to everyone before I move to the next example? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So let's move to the next example where I would like now to do a another level. So now we had a meeting in our Toronto office in the company, and the company CEO have allocated marketing budget to each of the region. Now, what happens is once this marketing budget is allocated, this guy, so there are managers in each of the regions. So let's say the first manager is Paul. Yeah, there is this Paul. Then there is David. Then we have Alex. And let's say we have Roger. So Paul, Alex, Roger, and David. Yeah, Paul, David, Alex, Roger, whatever you can consider. Now, Paul goes back to his department. So he has got the money from the CEO of the company to start the marketing. Now he goes back to his own region. So let's say Paul goes back to his alone, his branch. and his duty is to now further distribute the expense, okay, or the budget what he got from CEO for marketing products in the region. So he is confused. Which product shall he invest this money more? Can anyone tell? If you are at place of Paul, who has got, I give you $10 million, and your company is dealing in multiple products, which product do you invest more for marketing, and which product you invest less? Of course, very good answer, Sandeep. It's based on the past year sales. One suggestion come from one of the sales lead was based on past year sales. I'll take an example if you're confused. Apple. Which product of Apple? Apple make many products. They book MacBook Air, iPad, iPhone, iBuds, right? Many products they have. Yes, iWatch. But which product TV commercial and which products hoardings you see when you go outside in the market? Which of the Apple's product hoardings and advertisements and TV commercials and YouTube commercials, which of them you will see usually? Yes, most of them, most of majority is iPhone. Why Apple invest more on their iPhone TV commercials and iPhone advertisements? Why guys? What do you think? Yes, because it's their most selling product. So they invest more. So you can just learn from Apple example. As a marketing head of the company, you would probably spend more on the products which are giving you more sales. So based on the past year sale, last year sale, you will find out which products sold the most. And then based on that only, you will further do allocation of expenses. So this is what our next exercise, where we will see a little bit more complex allocation. Can be difference between the most revenue generating. Yes, we can do that also. It's up to you. It's up to you. The idea here is we are we are willing to allocate based on some calculated measure. So here this past year sales I don't have right now in my data set. Okay, I will be doing a formula to calculate it, and based on that I will allocate. Yes, I will allocate. That is what I wanted to show. So first based on FTE, based on FTE we got the money here. Now based on which is the most selling product in last year, we will further allocate to each product. Yeah, so we will further distribute this to each product depending on the last year sales. Is that clear everybody? So I'm doing a bottom level planning now. So first we did a top level planning at management level. Now each of the department head goes there, the individual department, and now they want to allocate this money to different product marketing. Of course, they will do more money allocation. Furthermore, drill down to the products which are most selling in the company. Yes, this is what the next level of planning we are doing. So let's go back and see the use case. Company had recently planned for expansion in other regions of USA. Okay, this is done already. Requirement 2 is done. You see, everything is explained in this spec document. Everything, you see, all the steps which I carried out. Okay, next requirement. The leads of each marketing zones go back to their respective regions. Company have given them the target to sell products. They are confused about how do they spend this budget provided by their managers or CEO in their region based on each product level. So you have 10 products in your company. Will you put all money in one product marketing? Perhaps not. Yes. So one good idea is to look at the last year sales of the product and based on that allocate the budget for each product accordingly. This allocation is intended to demonstrate that we can create allocation rules also based on the values which are calculated measures. The company is only in the apparel business in EMEA and also only in footwear business in Asia Pacific Japan. Hence, we need to also take care of this condition while we are doing the allocation. So one more interesting condition on top, the company is only in the apparel business in EMEA. So our company is not doing business in footwear in EMEA region and not doing any apparel business in APJ region. In APJ, we are just doing footwear. So we need to now also make sure that these conditions are respected when we are doing the allocation. So first of all, we will go and create our basic report where we will show the operating expense for each of the region based and also the last year sales. Yes. So let's go ahead and see this. I will first create a simple report. So I'm going to go and I say table, expand, and I will choose account dimension as come down allocation driver, last year sales. Yes. And then we have operating expense. Operating expense is called OPEX. If you heard about OPEX, it's OPEX. And I will also show this for each entity. Let's expand. So we have overseas and US. So this is overseas and this is US. And then if you expand here, you can see here operating expense. Let me just put account dimension next after entity. And I just want to show operating expense for both the regions, Asia Pacific and EMEA. You see Asia Pacific and EMEA, what is the operating expense? Yes. And we see for US, what is the operating expense? But where is the last year sales of each product? So first let's get the product as a column and we expand the product hierarchy. And you see we don't have data right now for other products which are apparel and and the footwear. So let me first do a show more data, show unbooked data for the product, and also do show unbooked data for account dimension. So I come back and I say show unbooked data for my account dimension also. So you see currently, okay, now I will just remove the account dimension. The filter will still remain intact. I just remove the account dimension, or let's keep it. So you see, first of all, for let me move the entity next only. That's better. So first of all, you can see here we have operating expense and we have sales of previous year. So you can clearly see that right now our operating expense for apparel and footwear is not allocated. You see, there is no money allocated for the operating expense for any of the product segment. There is no money allocated. Yes, there is nothing. All the money lies here. Now we need to distribute this money depending on the need for our other regions and US regions to here. Yeah. Now one more catch, as I told you, the EMEA we are only doing apparel business. So this $292 million should directly go to apparel business only because we are not dealing in the footwear business in EMEA. This $177 million should directly go to footwear. In addition, the US sales should go to apparel and footwear. But depending on the previous year sales. So here we should get the previous year sales. So at the moment we don't have the previous year sales available with us. So first goal is to write a formula to calculate the last year sales. And then next step is to calculate or allocate the operating expense based on the previous year sales. So the first job is to calculate formula, write formula to calculate previous year sales for each region. This is our first work. So let's go ahead and do that. One more thing I'll do is I'll just go to entity and remove the uncheck the not assigned region. Just keep these two. So it keeps clean my report. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and calculate the previous year sales first of all with the formula. So that's what I wanted to do. So I will go back to my model, open my planning model. So we will write a formula based on time dimension. So I come to account and I will just check previous year sales. So you can search previous. You see here, let's write a formula. So now what I will write is, I will write a formula where I would like to look up the gross sales based on my time dimension of previous 1 year. That is what I want to do. So let's come back. I say look up. What to look up? Gross sales based on what? Based on time dimension. Control space. Control space, guys. Control space. Very, very important. Control space is what you have to put. Equals to control space. And now you can see select members or select dynamic. So if you select member, it will directly show you 19 and 20. But if you do control space dynamic, you can write a formula. So you can say, get me the previous 1 year sale. Yes. So previous year sale, please get me whatever data you have available. So in this case, we have 19 and 20 data. So according to the data set, we will have previous year sales as 2019 sales will come. I click on create. I click on OK and I click on save. So just calculated a time formula based on my dynamic time dimension. Fair enough. Let's come back and refresh the page. And you see it's not working. So there is something gone wrong. System could not calculate value from unknown reasons. So this is basically another bad behavior of analytics cloud. You can see, yes, unknown reason. And this is a bad error message. We don't know why. Yes, we don't know why as a end user, as a consumer, we don't know why it's not calculating the formula. So I doubt the problem could be the problem could be that currently we are into the 2022. Maybe it is considering 2022. So let me directly put here 2019 rather than this, rather than a dynamic time filter. I will directly put here 2019 sales. Yes, let's give it a try. So I just wanted to show that it is possible to put a dynamic filter. Yes. Yes, you can see it has calculated the previous year sales. So the formula which was previous one means guys, it is considering 2022 is a current year, while calculating the formula in previous 1 year sales means 2021. But we don't have data for 2021 in our data set. So I hard coded 2019. Yes, because we have 2019 data in our data set. But the idea was to show you that it is also possible put a dynamic filter. Okay, now I've got this previous year sales. So you can see last year we sold this much in apparel segment, this much in footwear. So when it comes to allocating operating expense for each product for US, if I talk about just US, can anyone tell me which of the product should get more operating expense for US market? Just by looking at data, which product do you think, which product, apparel or footwear, which one should get more marketing expense this year? Which product iPhone, which product Apple should invest more in marketing? Of course, Apple, because Apple give you more sales last year. It's like iPhone for your company. Yes, and this is like iWatch for your company. So you should get here more operating expense, and you should get here comparatively less. Now, next question for EMEA region. EMEA region, which product segment should get more operating expense? For EMEA region, this is last year sales in EMEA. This is last year sales in EMEA. So which product should get more allocation for the operating expense? Actually, this should not get anything. All of it should go here. Why? Because you see, only 32. Remember the rule we have told in our requirement clearly says, our requirement clearly says we discontinued the footwear business from EMEA. We only do apparel. And you know the reasons. You see, last year sales was almost negligible in the EMEA. So company decided to move out of footwear business from EMEA. Is that clear, everybody? Is that clear? And look at the Asia Pacific. There was negligible business in apparel, only footwear. So company decided to quit. So all the budget for these two regions should be only for particular segment. But for US, we can do the correct allocation. So let's create now a complex allocation with multiple rules. So last example, we had only one rule. Now go back, create allocation, new allocation, and I say allocate OPEX by sales. I choose model. I choose our planning model. Yes. I click on create. I create a step. Yes. And now we will choose here allocate operating expense by last year sales. That should be description. Allocate OPEX by sales region. In this, what is going to be my source? So based on my each product, I will allocate for each entity. Yes. Yes, guys. So for based on product, if the product is apparel or if the product is footwear, based on my product, I will decide how much money will flow to each entity. So this time my source and destinations are different. Okay. Now I go to this and I will again add a filter for only operating expense. Click on create. Now I will add rules one by one. Yes. So let's add the first rule. Click on plus and I will say for all the products, for all the products, yes, for whether it is apparel or footwear, I don't care, based on the previous year sales. So come down to allocation driver. This is my sales previous year. Please allocate to US. Please allocate the operating expense to USA based on all products. For all the products, please do this based on this. Click on create. Now next, add again. I will have business only for one particular product. Okay, guys, I think I've done a mistake. I'm so sorry. It's opposite. It's opposite. We have to choose. Okay, we can't now edit this. I'm so sorry. We have to go back, create a step. So allocate OPEX by sales. So first we have to choose entity, then we have to choose product. I'm so sorry because allocation will happen for the product you see here. For the product we have to do. So from all product, the money should flow. The right now the money is kept in the all product. Yes, that is where all the money is kept. So it's kept here. So money should flow from all product to particular product segments, particular product segments based on the region, based on the region. So we have to put entity first, product later. Let's also add a filter quickly. I will add a rule. I will say in US region, based on the last year sales of US region, please allocate for apparel and footwear both. Click create. Add next rule. For EMEA region, I am only interested based on last year sales, only and only apparel business. I don't choose footwear this time. Is that clear, everybody? Yes or no? How we add multiple rules to allocation, multiple rules. Yes, click on create. The third rule for the Asia Pacific, based on the previous year sales, allocate only the footwear. Allocate only the footwear. Click on create. So I have now a step which has multiple rules inside. Click on save. The other one I will delete, which we created wrongly. So we can just go back, delete, and we just have now one step with multiple rules inside depending on what business want. Perfect. I saved it. Everything looks good. I have got now allocate OPEX by sales of last year. So let's go back. And as usual, just now a few minutes ago we did. You see right now these values are empty. Yes. If I go back and do allocation again, execute my allocation process for OPEX, operating expenses, on a new version. Let me create also another version, guys. It's better to create a version. So we will create a copy of actual, and I can say OPEX planning. And we will just only choose that version over here, OPEX planning. And let's go back. Do a allocation by OPEX on my OPEX planning version. I don't want to contaminate my actual version. I click on execute, continue, and you will see now in just few seconds, once the allocation runs, we should get our values. Depending on the last year sales, we will get our values. There you go. So you see, higher the sales in US for April, higher the allocation, $1550 million, and lower the sales, lower the allocation. However, you quit from the footwear business in EMEA. So for EMEA, you see, only all the budget was allocated to apparel. Yes. For the Asia Pacific, all the budget was allocated to footwear segment only, because we are only living in that business. We do not allocate these two at all. So that is the beauty of having multiple rules inside your allocation. Is this clear? Hello? The complete use case clear? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is the allocation clear to everybody? How to work with allocation, simple allocation, and allocation with multiple rules. Yes. All right. So let's take a 5-minute break here. Yes, you need to practice. You need to slowly practice by looking at the document and looking at the video. Practice is important. So we will be back after a short break of 5 minutes, and then we will start our next scenario. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, everyone, please come back after the break. So before the break, we saw the most interesting feature on SSC called allocation in planning. Now, in the next step, we will talk about applying conditional formulas and calculating the gross sales for the company. So let's look at our next business example. In our main data set, the product forecast data was missing for the product example athletic shirts. For all the regions, we need to calculate the sales by calculating the gross sales of the product using complex conditional formulas. So first of all, let me go ahead and show you how can we have the missing values displayed on a report. So in the report, we will have the gross sales value displayed to the user, and then we will have versions for each entity and product. Filter will be athletic shirt for 2020. So I'm going to go back and create here another grid page, and let's call it as formulas. So we'll be learning about complex formulas, and let's add our table in the grid page. As usual, our model, And now we will add gross sales and also the gross sales under the driver section. So let's come back to the account dimension, expand the gross sales over here. Yes. And then we will choose under the drivers section, sales. Yes. So you see here we have many values. We'll choose the sales tab and we click on OK. Let's expand the account dimension and we will also show unbooked data. So you can see we have here the gross sales, which is the actual sales, which is already calculated, but we have also the sales which is not yet calculated. I will switch over a filter on the forecast data with a date filter on 2020. So let me add a date filter, time filter for 2020 only. Yes. Now you can see here we have sold these, we have planned to sold these many units across all the regions. Yes. And this is the estimated forecast gross sales for 2020. Now I will also add here the entity in the column and expand the entity. Yes. Over here. So you can see for each entity which is overseas and US, we have how many units which are planned to sold. So in the forecast, we plan to sold these many units in Asia Pacific and these many units in EMEA region. And for US region, we are planning to sold these many units of our product. Now you can see currently the stored price is not available. What is the price at which we are planning to sell this entity, these products? Yes, it's not available. Okay, I'll also add a filter only to show data for overseas and US. Yes. So now we can see here, I'll expand. So you can see here how many units in the forecast version we are planning to sell. I will also show, let me also show the actual region data also. Both I will show. So we got actual region data also. So this is my actual sales and this is my forecast sales. How many units we are planning to sell in the forecast. Now look at here the stored price and lookup price. So the stored price will tell you at what price we are planning to sell these products to the customer. And you see we have also something called revenue. So basically we would want to calculate the revenue based on the price. So we have the price stored for North America or sorry, Asia Pacific and EMEA, but we do not have the price stored for North America. You see the price is empty. We don't have the price for America region, at what price we are planning to sell. So we know the quantity, how much quantity we planning to sell, but we don't know the price. So we will first calculate using a formula the price, the lookup price for North America region. And then we will multiply the America price because you are not selling a product at same price in both America and outside America. Yes. So that is why we need to have a different price for America and different price for other regions. So let's go back and first of all we will add a formula to calculate the price for North America region. So we will look up the price where the value of entity is hash. Now what is this entity value is hash? So if you go back when we created our model long back, our data set, let me open the data set. So this is our data set. In this data set, when you come to entity and if you put entity as hashtag here, you will see at front of this hashtag we have the price maintained for the product. You see this price. Yes. So for each product we have the price maintained as $10. You see, this is the price value. It is maintained only against where the entity value is hash. Yes, yes. So this is why we need to now find out the, we need to write a formula to just filter our data. Like I'm manually doing in Excel, please look up where entity value is hash and please take the price value. For the forecast, please take this value. For the forecast version, yes, what is the price in each month? So this is based on time price is changing. January, February, March, April, May, and June, and so on. So for entity equal to hashtag, we have the value of the price maintained. So I'm going to go back now and we will just write a formula. So I go back to the model. We go to account dimension and we will say lookup price America. So lookup price North America, I'll write a formula. I'll say please look up the dimension will be DRV 050, which is stored price based on my entity is equals to control space and you can choose hash. So please take the price of the lookup price. Please look up the price which is stored price where entity is hash. That becomes my price for America because all the four regions, sub regions of America will have same price. You cannot sell different price in different regions of America. But for America, the price is different other than other regions like EMEA and APJ. So we calculated the lookup price. So this is our first formula. I save the model. I come back and refresh the page. I cannot see the price is displaying here. There is some problem. Let me just check. Is it a version issue or is it an entity issue? Let me just check. What could be the problem? Why the price is not displaying? It must display the lookup price and stored price for us. So you see it's coming as this. So aggregation type, okay. This is because aggregation type is none. That is why the price is not displaying. So we need to go back and put some aggregation type based on product, entity and time. So that is what we have to add as a exception aggregation. So let's go back and we can just go to lookup price and you see aggregation type is none. I think we have to put sum and also for the stored price we have to also show the aggregation as sum. Let me click on save, come back and refresh. Yes, so you can see in America what at what price are we selling. Yes, and in the other regions at what price are we selling. So we are selling at this price our product and we are selling at this price our product in these regions. Yes, so now we are selling our product at these different price. Actually we have to put exception aggregation here. Sum based on per product, per time, per entity. Same here, sum per product, per time, per entity. Let me just remove this. No, not really. Okay, not needed. So now we've got the price, the lookup price for both regions. So in America, you see, for America, we are selling at same price across America. But for Europe and Asia, we are selling at different price other than America. So now, what is the revenue? A simple formula of revenue, as I taught you, is equal to price multiplied by units. So how many units you plan to sell and what price you want to sell. So that will be the gross sales for EMEA and Asia Pacific but the price is different for America. So when you calculate revenue for America, you should not consider this lookup price. Rather, you should consider this lookup price, this guy. Yes. So that is why we have to have a conditional formula to calculate the revenue for both EMEA and North America separately. Yes. So let's go ahead and do that. That's our next formula. So for revenue, we will multiply for America price, for America revenue, and for Asia Pacific revenue we will multiply with EMEA and Asia Pacific price. So let's go back and we will have the revenue for North America. So for North America the price is DRV 55. So let's go inside and we will say DRV 20 unit multiplied by DRV 55. Look up price for America. Click OK. And for revenue in Asia Pacific, the quantity units sold multiplied by lookup price, DRV 50 store price. So we are multiplying now to calculate revenue different prices for each of the region. Let's come back and refresh now. Step by step we are doing every step, and you will see it will calculate revenue for EMEA and Asia Pacific. You see it has calculated this will be the revenue which you will obtain from there, and this will be the revenue which you will obtain from here from America. Now comes to the final revenue, calculated gross sales. So the calculated gross sales, what I want different gross sales of course to be printed below. So we have two versions. One is America and one is actual and one is forecast. So watch out here. So first of all, already for actual, we don't want to tweak. We are just doing forecast and actual. So actual will remain actual. So we want to take this value and this value for US and overseas directly brought down to here as it is, don't touch. Yes, but for the forecast we want Asia Pacific and EMEA this particular value, which is revenue for EMEA and APJ. This value should come below. For America we have the revenue for America, this value should come here. So you can see if my version is equals to actual, then please take the gross sales value and assign that to calculated gross sales. So this is my calculated gross sales, assign. Yes, else, again if condition, if its entity is equal to North America, then you take this value. This value is revenue North America. So calculated gross sales equal to revenue North America. Else, just take this value, revenue calculated gross sales is equal to revenue EMEA. So this is what I want to write now, this whole if condition. So we have two if condition, one inside another, one for version and one for entity. So how can we write this kind of complex formula in Analytics Cloud? We can simply go back to calculated gross sales now. So let's go back to the model and we have this calculated gross sales. I go inside, I say if my first condition is version dot version category equals to control space. If it's actuals, take the gross sales. Else, this is the else part. The third tab is the else part. Here again if condition. If the entity dot hierarchy level equals to control space, you have to choose maybe hierarchy level 2 equals to control space. If it's America, choose the revenue for America. Else choose the revenue for EMEA. That's my condition. Conditional formula. Click OK, save, and now watch out. The final calculated gross sales report will be ready. I refresh, and yes, you see it's taking EMEA values over here, and here you see these America values have been taken here. Yes. For America, it's taking this America value. You see this America value. For EMEA and Asia Pacific, it has taken both the Asia Pacific and America and EMEA values. And for the actual version, it has taken this 406, 406, 1917, 1917. Now, all this calculation I want to suppress from the user. So I just show unit and calculated sales. So what we can do is we can go back one last thing. So we can freeze the column. So we can select and say, please freeze this column. Yes, here, this pin button, it has frozen the column, and now I can go on the right. And I said, don't show anything. I am just interested to see final calculated sales. So I say, hide this from screen. All these are my internal kitchen. All these are my internal calculations, which I just did. So we just show unit and calculated sales. I save it in the model and I refresh the page. You can see everything is hidden. Only units are displayed and final calculated gross sales is displayed to the user. Let's final thing, change the report style. Report styling will look better. Yes. So you can see now this is our calculated gross sales, how we created a report in the system. Makes sense. So this is how we can add complex formula with if conditions in SSE model. Okay, moving on to the next exercise. So you see all the formulas, everything is explained here step by step with entire requirement. Okay, coming to value driver trees. So what is a value driver tree and why do we need to use value driver tree? This is perhaps one of the most interesting and important topic in analytics cloud when it comes to building and doing planning. Many companies purely only works on value driver tree. Some of the companies who come for my analytics cloud training, they were specifically asking for this topic alone because they want to know what is value driver tree. So as the name suggests, value, where the value come from in our application, our values will come in our application from something called account dimension. What is driver? Driver is nothing but each account dimension depends on another account dimension. You just saw the sales revenue depends on quantity and price we sell, right? So it depends on another one. So that's a driver. And what is a tree? It's a tree data structure. So what we want to do is we want to create a value driver tree. But before creating a value driver tree or before understand what a value driver tree, we need to learn how to create a model first of all. So let's learn how to create a model. This time what is different in creating this model? This model is basically going to be created not by Excel upload. Rather, we will take a technique to first create a model as a new model, as a blank model, and then later on we will upload the data. Which case you use this technique of creating model as a new blank model. So till today, if you go back, we have gone to modeler and we always use this approach till today. We use these two approaches. One is from CSV and one is from dataset. So this we use for getting a Google sheet and this we use to upload our data. So we didn't use this option. When to choose this first option? Any guesses? When to choose the option number one? When? When to choose option number one? We didn't use this till today. Why we didn't use it? Yes. So let's understand the use case first of all, why to choose this. This because at times in your company, you know the skeleton of the data, but the data itself is not available. Yes, data will be available after 2 weeks. So what will you do 2 weeks? Will you sit idle? Will you sit idle for 2 weeks in your company? If your manager says that we're going to get the planning data after 2 weeks, will you sit idle? Of course not. Yes. You can tell to the manager or the designer that, hey, can you tell me at least the skeleton of the data? And by the time data is available, I will continue and create a skeleton of our data, a model. Yes. This is where we choose option called create new model. Second, if you want to create new model, so you saw the model types. We had classic model versus new model. There is no other way than this plus button. Only when you click plus button, then only Analytics Cloud will show us option to create new model as compared to classic model. So these are the cases why we create a model with a new model option. Of course, guys, any scenario we need to create model. Now you know how important model is in SSE with these many examples. Without model, there is no story, there is nothing you can do. So model is essential part of your application. So we will first create a model with a blank model. And maybe we will upload and bring the data into this model with the with another technique. So I click on model, I click on a new model, yes, and I click on select. So maybe I'll go with classic model right now. New model I will teach you later because there is a limitation at the moment. We cannot create value driver trees using new model concept at the moment. It has a limitation. You see, there are limitations which you should consider. So when you click learn more and open, you will find that we cannot do scripted data action and VDT at the moment on new model. So I'll go with classic model, click on select. So you remember classic model will always have a count dimension. So now it opens a blank model. So we can start creating the skeleton or of our model first. And later on, when the data is available after 1 week, 2 week, we can then import the data in the model at later point of time. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear to everybody? Why we choose new model option, the blank model? Yes. Okay. So let's start. So as you know, it's a planning model which I'm planning to create. This is the default model is planning model. When you use new model option, yes, you can switch always between planning model and analytic model. That's something which you can change. Yes. So we will choose a planning model. So let me add here in this model different properties. So we'll start adding plus. We'll add a new dimension. We'll add an account dimension. It's an account type. Click add. So guys, when you're doing this scenario for value driver tree, we didn't even talk about value driver tree. Right now we're just creating a model because anything which you start in SSE starts from a model. I'm teaching you right now the technique to create a model from a blank model. We will talk about value driver tree later on once our model is ready. So first version, account dimension. Next, now, guys, when you're creating and this exercise, please follow this document because the property names which we have to put here, they should be exactly same name. Later on, we will have to add some formulas and those formulas will not work if you not keep the property name same. So it is SAP product. You have to put exact name because later on I will have some formulas will not work if you not keep the same name. So please do follow that. So once we done account, it's also camel case, capital letter, small letter matters. The next is we will add the org dimension, call it as SAP CEP sales org. We will choose it as a org dimension. You see org dimension. Then we will add next. We will add couple of generic dimension SAP CEP product. Next SAP CEP customer. Next SAP CEP entity. Next SAP planning level. Click OK. So now we have added first our dimensions. I click on save button. Let's call this model. Okay, save it in the models, planning model, and I will save it. This is my sales data planning model. So I just created a model from blank model option. I did not have imported any data right now. Yes. Next, we will add hierarchies to customer. We will add hierarchies to product, and we'll also add a hierarchy for entity and sales organization. So at different places, we will add different types of hierarchies. So first we will go to the product and we will add a parent child hierarchy. So select the product, come down, and we will choose parent child hierarchy. Let's give ID. Click OK. You see one hierarchy is added. Let's choose customer and we will add a level based hierarchy. So you see the level based hierarchy option is not enabled. Why? Because we not have the child properties. So we should have more than one child properties to have a level based hierarchy. So let me add a level 1. We will then add plus level 2, and we will add level 3, and we will add a level based hierarchy. So now we will add here level based hierarchy. So let's call it as customer LBH. I will now add our members. So we'll add level 1, level 2, and level 3. Click on OK. So this is a level based hierarchy I've added. Let's add another hierarchy for entity. Again, it's a parent child hierarchy. And then also for sales organization, we will add a parent child hierarchy. Perfect. So this is the by far the skeleton of my data. This is the skeleton of my data. Remember, it's a classic model. In a classic model, all the measures will be combined into an account dimension. That is why it's called a classic model. All right. So once this step is done, we will now import first the master data. So what is master data? So product, customer, entity, planning level, sales organization. These are called master data in the company. So right now we don't have any master data. So to import this, we will switch over back to our today's class planning scenario. And we have this sales data CEP. I'll open that. You can see I opened. And now here you can see all the master data is available here, you see, one by one. So let's start importing the master data first of all. So first we go and bring the products. So I will just go enable editing so that I can copy. So I go to product and I copy all my product data. Remember, when you copy, do not copy the headers. Okay, you will have problems. So when you copy, please copy carefully. If you not copy properly, you'll have errors later on. So I copy the product, come back to SSE, go inside product and just paste the value. So be careful. Another thing, do not start paste from line 1. Line 1 is unassigned. Never touch this. Start from second line, paste. You see everything come very nice. Next step, go to customer, copy customer. You see we have 3 levels, level 1, 2, and 3. Good. We can go to customer and we paste. Perfect. We did that. Let's go to next. Sales organization, copy. Now in the sales organization, I will also add one more property here called entity. So this is very important. So let me paste now the sales org. So we've got hierarchy, currency, and we have got entity value. So in a typical company, a sales organization belongs to a entity. So I'll tell you some simple example of a company structure. So let's say you're working on Walmart. Walmart is a very big company. They have businesses across different countries, correct? So let's say they have USA, Canada, Australia, and Singapore. Now, this is one entity. This is one entity. This is one entity. So each location is one entity. But under USA, they have many stores. Yes. So these are your sales organization. So let's say USA, they have Miami, sales organization one. They have in Santa Clara, sales organization two. They have in New York City and LA. Yes. So three and four. So you can see that you have an entity and you have a sales organization under that. So there is a close relationship between them. So what we did right now, we have made an entity property, extra property, to say that this sales organization belongs to this entity. Yes. But if you notice, we also have a another entity dimension separately in this. Yes, I will show you that. So what we will do is we will make a validation rule later on in the model, where I'll make a validation rule. Validation rule, what it does, let's say if you go and change data here. Yes. So let's say this unit is giving $100 sales. This is giving $500 sales. This is giving $300 sales. This is giving $200 sales. When we calculate the sales at entity level, we should only and only consider changes at the org level. So if somebody changed this value to 400, it should only impact the entity changes at the this entity level, because this sales org belongs to this entity. To do this relationship, we have to create validation rules. And validation rules are possible when there is something in common between them. So I'm just creating a kind of foreign key. Yes, I'm creating a kind of a checker here to tell that this org belongs to this entity. Later on, this foreign key checker can be used to compare with and establish a relationship with its own dimension in the model. So that is why we just added an entity property over there. Okay, next is entity itself. So this is where we are specifying our actual entity data. So let's go back. We will also have currency and country property in the entity, which I not added. Let me add them. So I go to entity. I will add two properties. Can't we create everything using Excel file and above? You can, guys. You can. No doubt about it. But the question is, will you learn something new? Do you want me to just follow one technique to teach this entire course? I am happy. I know I have no problem. Are you guys okay if I just teach one technique and not teach you variety of content? You don't want to learn variety? You don't want to learn entire analytics cloud and different variety of things? You want to, right? That's why. Yes, that's why. The second technique of creating model I'm choosing. As a trainer, it's my duty to teach you different things. That is why you can certainly go back and use Excel to upload everything. No doubt, like we did before. But that is something you already know. That is something you already learned. You can do that. What's new? What's new are you going to learn today? Yes, that's why blank model. Okay, I do country, and let's go back to the data for entity, and we will have now hierarchy and country and description. So we also have currency. Where is currency? Okay, I forgot to add currency for this entity. So come down and we will enable currency property for this. Let's go inside, paste, done. So you see we have currency, we have country, and we have hierarchy, and we have entity descriptions. Next, planning level. Next is currency. So this is the rates we will maintain after. I'll save first. Do we have accounts also? Different accounts? I think we do have. And these are the account dimensions which we need to maintain. So right now, yellow ones we should not maintain. only these ones we should maintain. So let's do that. Come back to account dimension and maintain here account. Then we will put account type, income or expense, positive or negative contributors, rate type, rate type, rate type we don't have anymore. Okay, let's move on. We want a scale, decimal, unit, and threshold. Yes. So millions, decimal places 2, currency, nothing in the threshold. Perfect. So now we are good. This is all what we have. I click on save. Till this stage, we maintained our master data. We maintain all our master data. So we maintain all the measures. We maintain our master fields, columns, and maintain our data. Now guys, this count must match. So as a validation, yeah, as a validation guys, please remember when you guys are working at later point of time, please make sure that when you create the model, it must match. It must match exact counts. These counts you're matching 73, 28, 11, 3, 8. So this must match for you when you're creating a model. If it is not matching, something wrong in your model. I'm putting the screenshot in the slide. So please do cross check and rematch these things. If they are not matched, your value driver tree will not work. Okay, line by line, step by step, I've explained how to create a blank model. Perfect. So next step is to go ahead and import the data in our blank model. Okay, so let's go ahead and import the data in our blank model. So to do that, now we switch over to data management. We now import a file from our computer. So now we're importing the data for measures. So let's import file from computer. It's importing, and I'll choose transaction data sheet. Click import. So what would you do after import? Anyone wants to tell? I taught you this concept of data management before. After you import a flat file, what is the next step you do to take this data inside your model? Anybody remember the previous class where I taught you data model in unit number 2? We first got data from Google Sheet. Yes, very good Sandeep. We will do the data mapping. Data mapping. So we have got all the data in a draft data source. It's a temporary data store. After 7 days, this data will get deleted. Within the 7 days time, you should merge this data to the model. So this is just your Excel and this is your model. So now there is no automatic mapping at the moment. So you have to do a mapping of data from Excel file to this model. So let's go back and we will do the mapping. Click and you see it opens the mapping tool. So on the left hand side, you will see all the Excel fields which are part of the Excel file. So on the left side here, we have the Excel file fields, and on the right side here, you have your model. SAP Analytics Cloud will try to check the column names, and based on this column names, it will try to do mapping automatically. If it doesn't find suitable mapping, it will just leave your properties like this. Okay, let's cross check if our mapping is proper for each of the dimension in our model. So version, I click on map version. Okay, we only have actuals version. Date, it has mapped to the date. Account, it is mapped to the measure. Yes, Is it mapping it correct? Yes, it's mapping correct. So in the measure in our data sheet, we have the values. So if you come here, so just go up. So you have the measure. You see this is our account name, gross sales. Yes, this is our account name. Perfect. So this is our measure. It's mapped. Sales org. Yes, it has mapped sales org. Product. Is it a product? Let me hover. Yes, it's product. It's mapped product. It's a customer. Did it map with the customer? Yes, it's mapped. Entity. Did it map with entity? Yes, it is mapped entity. Planning level. Yes, it is mapped planning level. In the measure, it has kept the value. Perfect. So this completes our mapping. I think the default mapping is good. We have cross-checked it and now say finish mapping. You will see now the data will get imported in Analytics Cloud. I say finish. So this is technique number 2, guys. I have taught you today to build a model from a blank model. This technique is suitable if you know the skeleton of the data beforehand, but you don't have the actual data with you. Option 2, when you want to create new model in SSC, then also this technique is helpful. You see, it has rejected 0 line and it is imported. 2,24,424 rows were successfully imported. Now you see draft is deleted and the data is merged into the model. You can now go back to the model structure again. Yes. So we have recently a new feature called toggle data foundation view, where you can actually see if the data is imported or not. You see, it is imported all the data. Yes. So system has imported all the data in here. Perfect. So all your data got imported properly. You can cross check. All right. So now we are good with the blank model. So we created a blank model. We have first defined a skeleton. We defined hierarchies. We import master data manually, and then we import finally the entire transaction data, and our model is ready. In the next class, I am going to go back and teach you what is VDT, what is value driver tree, and we will also build the value driver tree end to end with example and exercise. Now it's time for your question. So first question, can we create a model structure and then import the data from another model? No, we cannot import data between model, but yes, you can create model structure and then you can import data from data sets. Okay. So when you go to data management, you can import the data from another data source and then you can choose a data set. Yes, data set you can use to import the data. Yes. And you can import not from another model. You cannot import from another model, but you can import from a data set from any of these data sources. Yes. So you can create a blank model. This is another use case which we usually use. If you have, let's say, S4HANA system in your company and you want to bring data from S4HANA, but right now the S4HANA connection is not working. It may work after 4 hours. 4 hours you will not sit idle. You can proceed and create the model structure. And after 4 hours is complete, once the connection is up, you can import the data from S4HANA also. That's something you can do. And then you do the mapping. Okay. Now, how
Uh,
the system knows expense is negative and INC? That's a standard definition, Maheshwar. A EXP is always negative. It's an expense. It's a business term. It's a business uh, terminology. Expense is always negative contributor to your P&L statement. And INC is income, which is always positive contributor to your business. So that is something which is predefined. You see, it's a drop down. We cannot type this ourselves. So this is a drop down. SAP give these options out of the box. Narayan Singh
Sir,
asked
I have one. Yeah.
Microsoft
So I
Word.
have
I've
one
never
question.
tried, Narayan. You have to go Google
Okay.
it or and just give it a try. I've never tried it, to be very honest. OneDrive.
So one question on this Google sheet, sir. What is happening is at present my data source for the dashboard that I had shown yesterday. My data source is an Excel, Microsoft Excel analytics file,
Okay.
which gets data from BW, SAP BW.
Okay.
Okay. Now this every day I have to manually upload it from manually get the data downloaded from SAP BW to SAP
You can
Microsoft
directly use
Analytics for
BW as a
Excel.
data source, no?
Yeah, but my BW version is one version lesser. It is
Oh, the one which is
7.3,
required to connect. Okay.
yeah, to connect to SSE. So I have to get the data first into Excel using, and then from there I manually upload that Excel into SSE.
Hmm.
Can be routed like I get the data downloaded to Excel from BW and then upload the same in Google Sheet automatically, and then from Google Sheet I can create a data source which I can schedule daily to get the data from that Google Sheet
It's
into SSE.
possible, but require huge programming knowledge. So what you can do is you can first go to BW system. You can write an
Okay.
ABAP report
Mhm.
and using SM34, I think SM34. This is called
Mhm.
scheduler. You can schedule a ABAP report to download an Excel in the remote desktop. So you can have a remote desktop configured by your basis team
Okay.
or a Linux cloud machine configured. And what you can do
Okay.
is you can schedule this ABAP report, which will download the Excel every time. Yes.
Okay,
And
sir.
what you then do is you will write a batch program. This can be written with a batch script if you're using Linux shell script, or you can use VBA also, VB script.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then what this VB script does, it use the OLE object to read an Excel file from Windows, and
Mhm.
then you will use also a JavaScript here to write a
Mhm.
batch call, a REST API call to Analytics Cloud to import it.
Okay, sir.
So this requires a lot of different combination of programming knowledge. Option number one.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And the other option, sir?
Other option, you again still have to do this, but then you
Mhm.
write a another S4HANA system which is compatible to your SAC system with the live data connectivity. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sir.
And you import this over here using GUI upload.
Mhm.
And this is also a scheduled program.
Okay, sir.
Option two.
Got it, sir.
Option
Okay.
three,
Thank you, sir.
you can also
Uh-huh.
create a REST API in the cloud in SAP BTP using CAPM. And then you can also write a batch job, a cloud batch job, which upload the data
Okay.
into HANA into the cloud.
Mhm.
And then this REST service is consumed by SAC directly.
Okay, sir.
So a lot of cross system integration.
Okay.
Yes, you can create open
Sir,
hub.
I want
It
also.
dumps to a table using ETL tool. You can daily update the drive and you can pick it up. Yes, that is another option, Maheshwar. Yes, you can
Mhm.
dump it using ETL tool into a Google Drive. Yes, ETL tool to upload it to Google Drive. But I'm not experienced in ETL tool actually to do that.
So, what ETL tool should I use then if I want to dump it
So
to Google
Maheshwar,
Drive?
can you guide him if you can unmute your line?
I think you can use BODS. Otherwise, OpenHub has a flexibility to dump the data either to a table or a flat file also. Flat file can be resided to some storage location like Google Drive or SharePoint. From there, you can pick it from the SAC.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Without
much.
using ETL also, it is possible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And sir, one example of, though you have shown it many times, of direct calculation in in the model itself. One small example, like I want to have a gross sales for the current year in the model.
So that is something which we can do via formula. We already did that today, many formulas.
Yes, sir. That's but one more one this demo I wanted.
Okay, in next class
Example.
we will see many. Okay, when we create
Okay.
VDT.
Okay, sir.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you everyone. See you next
Thank you.
weekend. Goodbye.